Welcome to another live stream, my friends. Well, guys, as mentioned yesterday, I really wasn't expecting much other than trading sideways on low weekend volume and volatility. However, now that we're getting a little closer to the weekly candle close, we may see things spice up a little bit. And that's not just for Bitcoin, you guys. There's also a few altcoins I've been trading lately that have been quite volatile. And one specifically that I've been trading and actually talking about in these live streams is Aster, which absolutely took off this morning, you guys, pumping about 40% in an hour or so. And guys, I've been talking about this Aster setup in my last few streams. I even pointed it out ahead of time on stream. And I even mentioned taking a position live in my Telegram channel. So for those of you who are in there, I hope you caught this beautiful little pump with me this morning. And for those of you who are interested in just learning and seeing more examples of these types of trading strategies, some of my trade setups, how I use Fibonacci's and market structure, and you just want more of my thoughts on the markets in general, do yourselves a favor and get in my Telegram by scanning the QR code on the screen or clicking the link in the description down below. My partners at BloFin are currently running the special promo for new members who sign up using my link, which also grants access to my private Telegram channel, you guys. So if that's something that interests you, get involved there. But yeah, like I said, Aster absolutely exploded this morning. And I mean, to be fair, it was looking weak, right? But however, that being said, I had just pointed out the swing fail box, much like, you know, I've been talking about those kinds of setups with Bitcoin where it was looking strongest. Those were actually the best shorts. And Aster here is a perfect example of the exact opposite scenario. Right when it looked weak, it looked like we lost every single level of support on the chart, but we ended up finding that bit of support in my green box between the 1 and the 115 fib pocket. Even when we came back down, came very close to actually, for one, hitting my my stop loss at break even on the rest of my position. But also I did even have, I mean, I was looking at something more so on the 5-minute. I was looking at a bigger Stuber entry, and I was looking to actually ladder back into a new position altogether based on something like that. Unfortunately, never happened, and we just took off to the upside, but whatever. Absolutely beautiful position. Like I said, guys, hit over 200% this morning on that guy. I still have half of that position running at this point. Normally that would be my first take profit, but I was taking some profits along the way just because I felt like it was a little risky, and as well, it's just super volatile. I had nice profits to lock in, so I've been taking them a little bit early, but I still have half running. I will close another quarter if we end up getting closer to my 214 fib target. And then after that, I would let basically a quarter bag run, or a quarter position run as a moon bag. So very cool to see so much volatility picking up there. I mean, like I said, that was over a 40% move in about an hour. Absolutely wild. So it's great to see signs of life like that coming off of support levels like that. And that's where I think a lot of altcoins could end up being quite volatile, you guys. Another one that I've been talking about recently is Zcash. Currently still in a bit of a short on this one, just using the MDX Trendmaster, pointing out when we're getting a reversal warning, basically with a lower trending sell signal. That was my warning, pulled a Stuber fib, ended up getting a bit of an entry there. I only have about 20% or 25% of this position running at this point with a break even stop, because again, I want to let the runners run if it's going to happen, but I'm taking profits along the way, so I don't feel the need of having to stop out my entire position, anything like that. I can take profits along the way and still have a bit of a position running, because I don't know if I'm going to get another easy entry on something like this. I don't know, right? So at this point, I would just rather let my position run with a chunk of it that's completely risk-free at this point, because it's volatile times, guys, and especially on something like this. I mean, that move basically from that 786 that I took back there, that was a 13% dump to the downside. This doesn't look like anything too crazy. This is only a 5-minute chart, but that just goes to show how volatile some of these altcoins are right now, getting very large moves. Bitcoin itself, even Bitcoin, you guys, it's yeah, yesterday we traded sideways. Like I said, that's basically what I was expecting. But now getting closer to the weekly close, I do have a couple of things on my radar that are a little bit concerning. One is the same resistance that I pointed out in yesterday's stream. Nothing has changed since this, right? And this is just going for since we started our little 4-hour downswing here. Basically since losing this level, because we had our higher high of the trend, we lost that higher low. Now on the opposite side of things, we haven't broken a lower high yet, because our last low would have been here, followed by our lowest low there on the trend. That would be our confirmed lower high on this 4-hour trend. If that ends up breaking, then at that point I would be interested in longing some sort of a pullback, some sort of a Stuber fib setup, something like that. But at this point, basically the bulls need to break above 111.6 thousand. Above that, there's still that swing fail pocket. We could still absolutely get rejected. Even if we break above that, if we just keep staircasing higher and then end up losing a level like that, that's where we have to consider the possibilities of being bearish again. But as long as we can at least break this level, it's at least some sort of a bullish warning for the 4-hour trend at that point. Yeah, there's probably things on the shorter time frames, but just looking at the actual structure on the 4-hour chart and the levels I was watching for yesterday, and actually even a couple days ago, we still haven't broke that level. So this range hasn't changed. Basically, this is the highs of the, I'm going to call it the micro range, just because it's the immediate downtrend, and that would be the lows basically. Just looking for, I want to bring up the ALGO master, because just to bring up some automatic Stuber fibs, I noticed this earlier this morning that this indicator is pulling a fib very similar to how I have mine. But this is actually new because I had basically the long I took from the 786 back here, that was a fib pulled from this low to this high, and the ALGO master is now pulling one from the lows of the range to our new highs of the range, and that would actually show the Stuber fib pocket very close to the one that I already had down here. But that's basically starting support around 104.8 thousand, which again, that's basically where my average entry is sitting for my swing long position on Bitcoin there. So the fact that this is actually a new fib pull from that indicator, it's still valid that we could still come back down to these fib pockets down here. Something that I don't want to rule out, that we could get rejected here and end up going a little bit lower. And of course, something else that I've been talking about quite a bit recently is these liquidation levels, you guys. The fact that I still think it's very possible that we go either direction. And I know a lot of people will take that as, oh, you're saying it could go up and down. That's ridiculous. And to be fair, anybody who's an actual trader should look at it that way. You should always be willing to accept the fact that your theories could be wrong. You have invalidations, you have trade opportunities. Basically what I'm looking at, sorry, one sec here. Basically what I'm looking at on the 4-hour here is that we are still in the middle of a very large range, right? I've pointed this out before, that since we ended up losing our highs here because we ended up breaking that downtrend, the uptrend starting to downtrend, since we created our bearish pivot point there and where we dumped to our bullish pivot point, we haven't broke either of those levels yet. So that is still the range that we are in. We are just in that range right now, no matter how you look at it. So we're kind of in the middle, and that makes things a little bit dangerous if you're looking for actual swing positions at these levels. Because guys, not only are we in the middle of a range, but this liquidations indicator points it out that, we do have all these gold bars, all these yellow bars above us. That's all high leverage liquidation pockets, just like down below us now, even though it's more so the lower or mid levels of leverage are starting to pile up below us. This would be our 10Xs, our 20Xs. Whereas the yellow and gold bars are more the 50 and 100Xs. But the point is, there is, whether it's the lower leverage levels or the higher leverage, either way, there is liquidity on either side. So whichever way the market maker wants to go from here, depending how they want to play it, there is opportunity for them there. So again, middle of the range, liquidity on both sides of us. It's just very dangerous if you're looking for new swing positions, right? That's why, yeah, I have this bit of a trade that I ended up taking this short that could still get stopped out. but basically looking at laddering into a short position based on this 4-hour structure here. But I still do have 40% of my long from back here that was taken basically the middle of October. And that was, like I said, just based off a similar Fibonacci, right? Not actually a valid Stuber Fib because the lower high was not actually broken. However, still a nice 786 reaction there. Obviously taking profits on the way because we've hit some of my targets. And like I said, still have 40% running because just like with Aster, for example, right, guys, even though we've had these big pullbacks, we came very close to getting back to break even on these positions. But since I ended up taking profits along the way, I was comfortable having my stop loss at break even on the rest and just hanging on to that position as a, just in case if my bearish theories are wrong and we end up just skyrocketing, or even whether we go to all-time highs or not, or just go back to the top of our macro range. Either way, that would still be a juicy run for this position down here, and exactly why I don't want to get rid of the whole thing, right? Paying myself along the way, as always, but letting runners run, because you never know when that home run trade is going to come. Let me know in the chat, guys, how are you guys all feeling about the market? By the way, if you do appreciate these live streams and just keeping a level head on the market, trying to be the voice of reason in this market, do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. But those likes and subscriptions go a long way on such a new channel such as this. Obviously, only been doing live streams here for about a month now. So good to see this channel steadily growing. Appreciate you guys being here with me. If you guys hit that thumbs up, much appreciated, my friends. But another thing I wanted to look at was Bitcoin on the weekly, since the weekly candle is going to close in basically, I think it's in about 5 hours. I've been warning about this for a while, that I don't like that we're losing this order block, my red box here. The fact that we got back below it, and even when we close a green candle in it, we never close that body above, right? We've got a couple candle bodies or candle wicks above that old block. But the fact that we're flipping that block from support into resistance is a very large concern of mine. Nice to see that we're holding the bottom of the range here. So, I mean, there's still a glimmer of hope there as well. And I mean, this trend line, to be fair, this is the algorithmic chart, so it may look a little bit different on a regular chart. But either way, we are basically getting our third touch point along this support trend line. So at this point, if it ends up dropping, right, for now, it's still confluence for potential support. But if this order block holds and we end up dropping this level and flipping that support into resistance, I mean, that could be such a nasty break for Bitcoin. The fact that it's lining up right on that 152-week timeline that I've been talking about, the fact that the RSI still has this big bearish divergence going on, the fact that we'd flip that order block into a breaker block. There's just a lot of red flags in the market. So not saying we can't go higher, right? The fact that we still have that liquidity up around all-time highs, it's absolutely possible. But I'm not married to the idea that we have to go higher or we have to go parabolic. If we do, I am here for it, you guys. It would be so much fun. I love a good parabolic run. They're so fun to trade. They're so easy to trade. But realistically, we just have to look at the market structure for what it is. And there's a bunch of red flags right now. So that's all. We just have to keep our head on tight, head on straight, and basically just keep our emotions at bay, as difficult as that is sometimes. How are you all feeling in the market, by the way? Howdy, guys. Good to see some familiar faces here. Hopefully you're all not only surviving, but I hope you guys are absolutely thriving. I hope some of you guys did end up catching that Aster position with me. Like I said, that was shared live. It was looking weak as hell. It's not that I was bullish by any means, but I was just taking a stab at a buy level, because a buy level is a buy level. At the end of the day, don't really care. The risk reward is there, and it was a beautiful trade so far. Like even where we're at right now, I mean, if we would have went lower, I would have actually dropped my average entry, because we had, I had a few more entries down closer to my invalidation. So it would have dropped a little bit lower, but just using from where my position got in right here, basically even how it's played out so far, it's looking like basically a 5-to-1 risk reward. So already hit a huge risk reward ratio on that setup. But realistically, I'm hoping to hit some of my next targets. My next one would be about 7.5 to 1, and then looking closer to 10 to 1 or 9.5 to 1. But yeah, basically those swing fail zones, those are those levels where you can get into those nice tight invalidation setups, nice tight risk reward. So even though the price always looks weakest in a swing fail support zone, just like it always looks strongest when we're in a swing fail resistance zone, those levels can generate crazy gains. And I mean, they're a perfect way to basically fight those bull traps and bear traps, right? They're a great way to profit from those kinds of things, because most traders love playing breakouts where they start shorting into support. You know, I bet there was a ton of people on your timelines, on your social media platforms, that would have been shorting Aster with this because it looked so bad because we got to close below this level here. But we very quickly just reclaimed that low, and then we end up going to test higher up into the range, right? So after breaking structure, that's the thing. It's not, I'm not saying this is a bullish signal right here. That is a bearish signal. But after reclaiming that level like that, that's a very nice sign that you're at least going to get some sort of a retest. So even if this downtrend would continue with our low and our lower low, that means this would be my confirmed lower high. It's still very possible, even if the downtrend is going to continue, that we still come back up, retest resistance, and then carry down. I don't know if this downtrend is going to continue or not. I have no idea. But I've positioned myself in a way that, you know, I was able to take profits on this position. So I don't care. This thing can go to zero. I literally don't care. This is a tool for me to trade at this point. Looking at Bitcoin longs, you guys, for retail traders, kind of flatlined right now. So we're going to have to see if we see retail longs stepping back into the market here, then I would really expect some sort of a harsh rejection off this resistance level. However, if we see retail we see these shorts continue to climb, at that point, I would look at it as a bit of a divergence, and I would be thinking that that's opportunity for a bit of a short squeeze. If retail is trying to short resistance, I think it's absolutely possible we end up breaking through and go higher up into the range. But as it looks right now, it's kind of hard to see for sure. It looks like the longs are climbing a little bit, but it's a little bit early to say anything with that. Bitcoin dominance, I have mixed feelings about this. As far as the altcoin market goes, I would love to see this absolutely nuke off a cliff. I want to see us lose this buy trend and end up getting a lower sell signal on the trend master. That would be so nice for the altcoin market if we saw that on Bitcoin dominance. But as it looks right now, it's still really trying to trend higher. It's trying to hold this support. If Bitcoin dominance climbs higher, unfortunately, it would look to me like the entire market would still be continuing to sell off. So just a few things to watch for there. Like I said, Zcash. So Zcash actually did break a micro downtrend at least. That's why I have a bullish fib laid out here. I don't have any orders set at this point, but just kind of watching for a potential bullish scenario. But basically we had our low, we had a lower low, therefore we had a confirmed lower high, and we broke that. So at this point, it's not so much that I'm interested in longing this breakout here, but if we end up getting a retracement down to my fib pocket, that's where I think it would be a safer entry, where at least if it goes wrong, your invalidation is going to be much tighter to your average entry. So just keeping your losses small, because every trader loses trades. Trading isn't about never losing. It's about also controlling those losses, because as we saw in our big liquidation event a couple of weeks ago, a lot of people do not respect risk management. And that event really opened up a lot of people's eyes. And that's just a part of trading in general, keeping risk management in mind. So invalidation levels, entry levels, take profit levels, all those things. If you're ever entering a position, you should always have basically your entries, your invalidation, your take profits. You should have all of those things in mind and even set as soon as you enter your position. If not, in my opinion, you don't have a valid setup. If you don't have all those levels in mind, you don't have a repeatable setup. Basically, that's all there is to it. You need something systematic that you can repeat over and over, which is why I love Fibonacci so much. Oh, we have people at the gym doing spin. Right on. Welcome, Habu. Good to see you here again, my friend. Hurley, good to see you. Zcash was over 1,400 back in 2017. Yeah, and I mean, it could happen again. I haven't followed anything about supply or anything like that. Like I don't know the market cap. If the supply or the circulating supply is way higher, then obviously that would make a big difference on what the price could go to and that sort of thing. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Everyone's all excited about it. It could go a lot higher, but at the same time, just be ready for anything, right? Nothing is promised in these markets. One trade setup at a time. Like with Zcash, for example, you guys, I had pointed out in the Telegram several shorts that I had ended up taking. I don't remember exactly where it was. Actually, I think it was right around here. I have only been taking shorts on this coin, even though it's been trending to the upside. However, that being said, that's why we have targets. That's why we have invalidations, right? I mean, even though we ended up going higher, when I was laddering into positions in the Stuber fib, we were also hitting my first take profit levels before reversing, right? So yeah, I'm fighting the trend a little bit. I'm fine with that, but understand trade setup is, you know, one setup at a time, basically. And that's why you have those take profit levels, your invalidations, all that sort of stuff. That's why you take profits on the way, update your stop loss, protect yourself, all that sort of stuff. So like I said, right now, yeah, I'm in a bit of a short on Zcash. I still have a quarter of it running from $421.89. And if we blast off straight to $1,000 from here unexpectedly, I don't care, right? I've locked in some profits on this trade, or the rest gets stopped at break even. So be it. That's a part of trading. Let the runners run. If we end up nuking to, let's say, back down to $50, well, then I'm in a beautiful short either way, right? So very stress-free position to be in. CZ publicly bought 2 million Aster, so that's maybe something that happened there that would explain that. But again, notice that he didn't FOMO into a top. Notice that, you know, even if that was this little pump down here, or where we started our, I shouldn't say little, where we started our nice pump this morning, you know, he's obviously looking at proper support levels. He's looking at technical analysis. So whether or not he is the cause of that, he was definitely buying support. Whereas so many people thought that when large players and hedge funds and all these sorts of big players were getting involved in the space, everyone thought they were going to FOMO into all-time highs and pump our bags. But instead, they've been basically playing with us like we're little fish in a barrel. And, you know, people are getting wrecked on that because they are, you know, much more competitive and experienced in the game of trading, basically. But yeah, that would make sense. If he ended up doing some sort of a big buy, that would also spark FOMO. But yeah, at the end of the day, I had no idea that was going to happen. Just like up here, I had no idea Trump was going to be mentioning tariffs, right? It just, those things conveniently come in at support and resistance levels. So something very important to consider there. But that being said, those of you who are interested in learning more and seeing more examples of these type of trade strategies that I'm always talking about on my streams, you want to see more examples of my trade setups, how I'm pulling fibs, how I'm viewing market structure, all that sort of good stuff, you guys, do yourselves a favor, scan the QR code and get into my private Telegram channel. And as I mentioned, my partners at BloFin are currently running this promo for new members. So it's a no KYC exchange. I also have a lot of faith in them, you guys. There's been some circulating FUD around social media, around some certain exchanges and that sort of thing recently, with people having their accounts frozen when trying to withdraw and stuff like that. But according to Grok, BloFin is actually one of the safer exchanges, and why I do most of my trading here, and why I'm comfortable still running basically my partnership with them. And again, guys, if you do want to trade no KYC on BloFin, they do have this promo running for you, and that obviously also grants you access into my private Telegram, where I'm sharing some of these signals and trade strategies and all that sort of good stuff. So again, guys, one last time, I think that's about all I wanted to go over today. So hopefully you guys did appreciate this live stream. If you did, please do me a favor, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you have not at this point already. And with that, I'm out. Stay safe, my friends. Peace.